Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to grab our compass and a map because we're about to demystify one of the most powerful gradient boosting libraries out there in machine learning, XGBoost. So let's dive right in. If you've ever opened up the XGBoost library documentation for the very first time, it can feel, well, a little intense. It's kind of like being dropped into the middle of a massive sprawling city and just looking at a directory with thousands of strange street names. You see stuff like getFscore, dmatrix, mknold. It's a lot to take in all at once. So the most natural question is, where on earth do you even start? How do you possibly navigate this place without getting completely and utterly lost? Well, that is exactly what this is all about. We're going to give you the map. So here's our plan for today's guided tour. First, we'll get our bearings in what we're calling XGBoost City. Then we're going to visit its most important districts, the foundational core, the industrial training engine, the super user-friendly scikit-learn downtown, and then finally, we'll head up to the scenic observation deck for visualization. By the end, you are going to have your very own map for mastery. All right, let's kick off our tour. The first step to mastering any new place isn't memorizing every single detail. It's about understanding the layout. And this, right here, is our core philosophy for today. You absolutely do not need to memorize every single function in XGBoost. The real key is to understand the purpose of the main modules, the districts of our city. Once you know what each district is for, getting around becomes second nature. Okay, let's step into our first district. We're starting at the very foundation of the city, the core and the data handling modules. Think of this as the bedrock, the power grid, the entire infrastructure that everything else is built on top of. This is where XGBoost gets its legendary speed. Seriously. The core and data modules are packed with highly optimized, low-level code, a lot of it in C++, that handles all the memory and data processing with just maximum efficiency. You might not interact with these functions directly all the time, but trust me, they're the powerful engines working hard behind the scenes. Now, the most important landmark here is the dmatrix. I want you to think of it like a specialized armored truck just for your data. It converts everything into an internal format that's perfectly optimized for the training algorithms. This lets it move data into the XGBoost engine as fast as humanly possible. Then you have the booster, which is the object that actually holds your trained model. It's the powerful engine built right on this foundation. So now that we've seen the foundation, let's go visit the industrial heart of the city, the training engine. This is where all that raw data gets processed and where the actual model construction happens. This is the factory floor. This right here is a pretty typical workflow on that factory floor. First, you load your data into that specialized dmatrix for top-notch efficiency. Then you set your parameters. That's how you tell the factory exactly what kind of model you want to build. Hitting the train function starts up all the machinery, and finally, eval lets you do a little quality control to see how well your shiny new model performs. And hey, this is not just some simple assembly line. This district has some seriously advanced machinery. The CV function, for example, lets you do cross-validation, which is an absolutely crucial technique for building robust models that you can actually trust out there in the real world. Okay, so that core engine is super powerful, but let's be honest, it can be a little bit complex. So for our next stop, we're heading to the modern, accessible, super user-friendly downtown district. This is where most people are going to spend their time. The XGBoost.sklearn module is an absolute game changer. It takes all of that industrial strength power and wraps it up in a simple, familiar interface. If you've ever used scikit-learn's fit and predict methods, you are going to feel right at home here. It makes XGBoost incredibly accessible to this huge community of users. This comparison really says it all, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the core API, which gives you maximum control. You're basically the factory manager. But on the right, you have the scikit-learn API, which gives you simplicity and ease of use. You're more like a customer who just wants a finished product. You trade a little bit of that fine-grained control for a much, much simpler workflow with functions like fit and predict. So, we've built our model. Awesome. But what did it actually learn? To find out, we're heading to our final destination, the city's observation deck, which is the plotting module. This is where we get that bird's-eye view of our creation. This is one of my favorite parts. The plotting functions let you ask some really important questions about your model. You want to know which data features your model found most predictive? Easy. Use plot importance. You want to peek inside and see the exact decision logic of a tree? Go ahead, use plot tree. And this is why this district is so important. It is all about interpretability. These tools take what can feel like a mysterious black box, and they turn it into something transparent. This is absolutely critical for building trust in your models and, just as importantly, explaining them to other people. Well, our tour is coming to an end. We visited the city's foundation, its industrial heart, its modern downtown, and its scenic observation deck. Now it's time to give you the map that I promised you. And here it is, your simplified map to XGBoost City. Just 4 key districts, each with a crystal-clear purpose. You've got Core for performance, Training for building, Skylearn for easy access, and Plotting for understanding. If you commit this map to memory, you'll have the key to navigating the entire library with total confidence. And believe it or not, with just a solid grasp of these core concepts, the data, the training, the interface, and the plotting, you now understand the purpose of the modules that handle over 90% of what most data scientists will ever need to do with XGBoost. So the only question left is, with this map in your hand, what's your next destination? Are you going to head downtown to quickly train a model with the scikit-learn interface, or maybe climb the observation deck to visualize a model you already have? The city is yours to explore.